Hello, everyone. I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today's guest is an actress, model, and fashion icon whose personal journey from her humble beginnings to international success has been remarkable, to say the least. Although she was born in California, her family moved back to Mexico when she was 3 years old, and they didn't come back to the United States until she was 9. She endured poverty, racism, abuse, and trauma, but through her intelligence, resilience, perseverance, and incredible hard work, she earned a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology and a Master's of Social Work degree. Since 2008, she's been taking Hollywood by storm in movies like Dark Real, Crimes of the Mind, Anatomy of Deception, Defending Santa, Beverly Hills Christmas, Mission Possible, Teen Star Academy, Betrayed, and Eye for Eye. And she's probably best known for her iconic portrayal of Lola in the highly successful and multiple award-winning TV series Tale of Tales. Last year, she released a book entitled Breaking the Mold, chronicling her journey of turning obstacles and barriers first into challenges and then into success. Her story of personal strength is not only inspirational, but motivational and instructive to anyone struggling to overcome hardship and change the trajectory of their life to set goals and elevate themselves to achieve success. I'm delighted to welcome Blanca Blanco to our show. Blanca, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Harvey. Hi, everyone. It's such an honor to be on your show. I really hear great things about your show, and so I'm glad that you were able to see me.
So am I. You know, Blanca, most people wait until they're in their senior years to write a memoir. What made you decide to write your book at such a young age?
Well, it was during the lockdown. I just thought I had a lot of time to reflect on my life journey and my lessons. And I thought, well, I think it's time. I wanted to do it when I was older, but I guess, nobody expected the pandemic. So everything was closed. And I thought, okay, I got really inspired to write. And also when I would be driving in LA, I would see so much poverty and abuse, everything changing. And I thought, I'm going to write something, share my experience and how I was able to overcome the many challenges that I went through. And I thought this is like the perfect time to do it. So that's why, I know it's something I wanted to do when I was older, but I guess, we adapt to changes. And that's what I did. I just basically thought it's time.
You described your difficult childhood at great length in the book. Your father was an abusive bully who made life very difficult for your mother, your 4 siblings, and yourself. When you moved back to the United States at the age of 9, your whole family lived in a garage for 2 years with no hot water, no shower, and then you all lived in a trailer until you graduated from high school. But even as a child, you had enormous drive to succeed. Blanca, where did that ambition and determination come from?
Well, I definitely wanted a different life. I could really see like the dreams like so close but too far away at the same time. And I thought I just want to work towards my goals. So what I did was, I couldn't change my situation, like my environment at that moment, but what I could work on, I could remain in control of my perception. So I work every day I could control my learning. I could, study hard every day. And I knew that education was going to change my life. And so I focused on that. And I knew that I wanted to break the cycle of poverty because I knew that we had, because of the limitations that we had, that I could, because of my parents, I was able to learn lessons and also at the same time work on improving my life.
Well, I want to take a moment, Blanca, and pay tribute to your mother, your dear mother who passed away last year. In my opinion, she's the real hero of your book because she had incredible inner strength and optimism and devotion to her children. She was really the heart and the soul of your family, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. She definitely was my, my rock. And everything happened so fast during the pandemic. She passed away not from COVID. It was a heart condition, but everything, I got to see how someone in the hospital during the pandemic, how hard it was, because even though she was given a terminal diagnosis and I was there to help her to process the information and also help my siblings. I did that in hospice work, when I work as a therapist. So I had more experience in that area. But I remember like we couldn't go the four of us to see my mom. It had to be one person a day. And it was very difficult because, somebody's being told that you have weeks, but then the hospital have these policies, where they don't let families because of COVID, which I understand, but at the same time, I also got to see how, the timing was like not the, it's never a good timing when somebody's gonna get sick, but it was just like, the pandemic. And so I had to really advocate for my mom to make sure that she got a lot of her wishes that she wanted to do. And we were able to get more people to see her in the hospital. Eventually, we took her home under hospice care, and she was home with, I did her birthday party, and I had about 50 family members arriving from all over the country. And everybody, it was like a COVID event, because we had like everybody had to get tested, and it was like different, and so but she had a great time, and she worked on her, we helped her with her goals. And definitely it was all my siblings, we were there for her, helping her. And because she was always a cheerleader, always supported when I had crazy ideas. Like we're in the garage leaving, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a Hollywood actress. And when you're living in poverty, you just feel sorry for your kid, but she would be, well, you can do whatever you set your mind to do, you just have to work hard. And so she was always like that and would always give me advice. And she always loved all my fashion choices at the red carpets. And she was really involved, even though she lived in Washington State and I lived here. But I was the first one in the family to do Hollywood, to be here. So it was like a new territory for everyone in my family.
Well, Blanca, I hope it brings you some comfort to know that your mom was so enormously proud of your success, and you've now immortalized her in your book. So we all got to know her through you. You should be very proud of that.
Oh, thank you, Harvey.
Now, as a young girl growing up in Washington State, you had to learn English. You were bullied at school and at home by your very unsupportive father. You faced racism and terrible poverty. You said that you chose to be a survivor, not a victim. How did you do that?
Well, I felt that when I saw myself as a victim, I didn't feel like I had much control or much power. I just felt weaker. But and it felt heavy, like a heavy weight on me. So then I began to see, okay, I'm a survivor. I feel more like a determination, like a drive, something that will help me. It's lighter, like the quality doesn't feel as heavy. So I started changing my mindset, where I started just, okay, this is gonna be a challenge. I'm gonna, work towards a goal. And it gave me it gave me like the drive, like I am overcoming this.
Well, when you were a child, did you ever have any doubt that you would be successful?
Well, of course I did. I had doubts, especially when you look at your environment, living in the garage, with no, hot water, no heating, and we didn't have food sometimes. And I had big dreams, but I didn't think at the moment, it was a dream, but I thought, well, I want to do it. Like I had like the passion for it, but I really didn't believe it was gonna happen. But then I worked every day on preparing, just taking action. And that's all I could do. I could like every day, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I decided to be proactive, take little steps, little goals, and that's what I did. I mean, I had to learn English. I had to learn skills. And whenever you experience the traumatic experiences, you develop a lot of skills, like adaptability skills, personal growth, and personal strength and determination, because you
Well,
don't know how much determination you have until you're faced, as a result of all the stress that you're going through, and then you push with a determination, with a drive, but then you wouldn't know to what degree you're capable of overcoming if you didn't experience that trauma. And because it is like a direct response to so there's some positives about, when you're looking at your situation, like there's growth, so much personal growth.
Many children who are bullied at school and at home end up having very low self-esteem, but somehow you managed to remain emotionally strong and self-confident. How did you do that?
Well, I had to really, with all my experiences, I had to basically protect myself mentally so that the negative stressors wouldn't really affect me as much. So I would work on being kind to myself, like understanding that I'm different from everyone and accept that that's who I am. I cannot assimilate. I cannot be like everyone else. I have to be myself. And so I worked on that every day. And also in feeling secured and valued, like myself, not from anyone, but just within myself. I had to work on that, because the reality is that we can't blame other people for making us feel certain way, making us feel sad, because we are the only ones responsible how we act and feel. So I had to just remember, like, it is, like I had to place boundaries, be kind to myself, and then know that it is whatever is happening is gonna, happen. I gotta take steps forward.
Well, I'm very intrigued by the fact that although you always wanted to be an actress, you chose to study psychology and then social work. Did your desire to be an actress influence your decision of what to study at school?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I would do a lot of performances with my siblings at home. That was like a free activity. We didn't have much choice or or anything to do, so we would just do scenes from movies and monologues, and that was like something that I enjoyed. And so, and at the same time, I knew that I needed to break the cycle of poverty. I needed to have an education. So I was like, okay, when I'm done with school, I will move to LA to pursue it as a career full time. So I kind of took the long way. I come here when I was accomplished in my profession, but that was intentional, because I have people who ask me, oh, so you just changed your mind after you, I'm like, no, I didn't change my mind. I needed to be prepared, have a foundation, so I can come here and be ready to handle the crazy people in the industry, So psychology, I thought it would be good, because it really, you're with characters, you're always finding their child, well, how was their childhood or their, past experiences, and how it affects their emotions, their, feelings, their behavior. And I thought psychology will be perfect. Plus, I really enjoy psychology. It was very, I always, human behavior, it was very interesting to me. And that's what we do with acting too. And then social work, I always have like a, I always enjoy helping people. And I thought that would be a good combo, like psychology and social work, because then it's not only just one specific area, but I can expand to, at a larger area of human behavior.
When you were in university, you wrote a paper on the effects of poverty, especially on children, and you included the paper in your book. It's well known, Blanca, that poverty is often an endless cycle that people cannot break out of. But in your case, and in the case of many highly successful people who started out extremely poor, they were able to achieve immense success and wealth. Personally, I found poverty to be a great motivator. Did you?
Oh, yes, definitely poverty for me was a motivator. Like it gave me that, that drive to knowing that that was a life that I was gonna change. I was gonna like make some changes, break the cycle, and definitely even living in the trailer was a motivator, because I knew that it was only temporary, and that I was gonna work and not doing that in the future. Everything that all my experiences, I use them in a positive way, so that way I could learn from it and expand my experience, not just limiting by being, well, according to stats, based on everything, I wouldn't be, it will be harder for someone like me to succeed. I knew that the odds were against me, but I thought, well, I want to succeed in this category of poverty, and I'm gonna do it somehow. And I just, that's what I did. I didn't want to be a stat. I thought I will break it. I will break that stat.
And boy, did you ever. I want to point out to our viewers that Blanca does volunteer work with the LA Step Up program and the Los Angeles Mission. Blanca, tell us why doing this volunteer work is so important to you.
It's important to me because I feel that we gotta support each other. And I know LA Mission, I've been helping with feeding the homeless for many years, and during the holidays, and it really reminds me when we growing up, we would go to get food from places like LA Mission, and just the kindness of people that treated us as equals. I thought, it made a difference to me. So when I enjoy doing that because I've been there before. And also, they will do like the back to school bags, and I remember like we would go to the Salvation Army or places to get back to school supplies, So I felt that it's like giving back to the community. And the Step Up is another great program because they pair a mentor with a student, for a high school student, so that way they get motivation to pursue higher education. Because I have people that ask me, well, you don't need an education to be an actress. And I always say, well, I'm going to be biased because I do believe education is important because it gives you a platform, a foundation, and you can navigate this, whatever system you're working with something solid. And so I always say, get something, work on school, and prepare yourself because you want to be solid as much as you can.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you have a very interesting professional background. During your internship, you worked with prison inmates to help prepare them for reintegration into the community upon their release from jail. You also did parent education for first-time parents. And when you first moved to Los Angeles, you worked as a social worker at a hospice. I think one of the reasons why you're so grounded as a human being and why you've never forgotten where you came from is because of this work that you did as a social worker. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, I do agree because I know that I felt myself like very grounded. But when I started doing social work, I realized working in hospice, I realized that I was stressing about dumb things that don't matter. So it re-grounded me because before like I would be stressing about auditions. Oh God, I didn't get a call back. All this like, oh, like if it's the end of the world. I was just like that, under so much stress. So when I started working in hospice, I'm like, wow, like I thought I was grounded. Obviously I'm not. I'm worrying about superficial stuff, things that I'm able to, I have time, I'm alive, I don't have a terminal diagnosis. And so it just basically made me more like accepting of, just being in the moment in life, like not really thinking ahead or in the past, but staying present, because we don't know what is going to happen in the future. Well, we're going to go back in the past because that is not going to make a change, but so I grew so much from that experience, even though it was very traumatic, because you learn that all your patients, nobody survives, they all pass away because they're terminal on hospice. And that was like, I did that for 4 years. That was like the hardest thing. People are like, wow, I bet that was a very depressing job. Well, it was kind of sad, but also it was good to be able to help people. My my role was to guide the patient and the family through the end of life process. And I would help them, people start in different stages. They're either accepting or they have anxiety, depression, and I guide them through the whole process. And eventually, the goal is for them to be comfortable with the next step, And so I learned a lot. And so, yeah, definitely, I feel that I needed that experience to be able to handle the industry too, because I'm pretty laid back, and I worry about things that I'm able, I take it one day at a time.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with your strategy when you decided to move to Los Angeles. I want to read you something that you wrote in the book, Blanca. You said, before making my move to Los Angeles, I did a lot of research, so I understood how the system worked. I broke it down to its smallest unit, so I was clear on what I needed to do to be successful in this industry. Can you tell us about the research you did and what you learned?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in the library researching, okay, what is the entertainment industry? As an actress, what do I need to do to prepare? Like, basically you need to get an agent, you get to get a manager, you need to take workshops, you have to, have a strong resume, you gotta have your headshots, all these little goals that you have to have in order to make it. And it doesn't guarantee anything. And also understanding the stats, only 1% make it in the industry. Okay, I understand that. So then I'm gonna work on, the things that I'm able to control, the preparation and the stuff, and then also, understanding how the system works with the audition process. Out of 10 auditions, maybe you get one callback, and most of the time they don't even, call if there's no callback, so you just basically have to work on accepting that that's the way that it works. I also interviewed people when I was in LA. I would meet people like in coffee shops, and we would have conversations, and I would just ask them like, how long you been here? And then people are very, nice to share about their experiences, and then they will say, oh, I always just wanted to learn from people that they've been around and see what kind of feedback or information they could give me, because I moved here with no one I knew in the industry. It was just kind of like, okay, it was a new territory, no family here, just me with a dream. But I was, determined not to go back to Washington State. And so yeah, that's that's what I did. I met many great people that became my mentors.
Well, when did you finally have the confidence to quit your job at the hospice and be a full-time actress?
I had the confidence after 4 years of doing hospice work, and I was able to secure my finances for many years without having to worry about, if I booked this or not. So what I did was I just wanted to basically just secure a few years without any work, so I can just be prepared, because I understood the numbers, how it works with auditions. And yeah, the first 6 months I had no, bookings, but then everything started happening, but I just worked on the things that I was doing. I was doing PR, I was doing, building my skills, taking workshops. I was taking all this every day, even though I wasn't booking the first 6 months. And then also understanding that the system is not like the academia. It doesn't work the same way, because when you're in school, you're trained, you study, you get good grades, and then you pass the class. I've been trained, conditioned to think like that. And then this industry is the opposite. Like, you have no control, you basically go with the flow. And I always been, basically goal oriented, and I'm like, okay, if I do this, it leads to that, and I can control this, So it was totally the opposite of my thinking. So I had to really work on myself, and knowing that it's a new area for me, and I have to adapt to the new changes, and know that I just have to just go with the flow.
Well, in your book, you mentioned some talented people who gave you good advice in your career. Kathy Griffin recommended that you join the Groundlings.
Yeah.
Charles Mathau connected you to a couple of good agents.
Mm-hmm.
You studied acting under Gordon Hunt for 10 years. Are there other people in the industry who inspire you? Maybe Rita Moreno and Salma Hayek?
Yes, definitely. There were a lot of great people that I have met through, on set, and I appreciate when they're willing to share their experience, because I was able to get some agents through some, Charlie Mathau and Kathy Griffin recommended the Groundlings. I went there, I auditioned, and I got in, and I feel very happy to be able to go to places that are highly recommended, And so, but two people that I share in my book is Salma Hayek and Rita Moreno, because growing up, I didn't really see a lot of Latinas in shows. And then I started seeing Salma Hayek and obviously Rita Moreno, like she's iconic. And so I was like, wow, so it's possible. I guess it could happen. So that they inspire me. And I just think there's more work that we need to do in the industry to have more Latinos in leading roles. But definitely there's been a shift from the last 10 years where it's been progressing. There still needs to work to do, but it is definitely moving forward. So I feel very good, because when I started, there were not a lot of roles. Like they put you in categories, like they want someone not too tall, not too short, somebody that is, just different characteristics. And I thought, well, I guess I will just stick, just do this, and maybe things will change, and things are changing for sure.
You got to work with Rita Moreno in Torch, didn't you?
Yes, I did. It was great to be in a movie with someone that I admire so much. And it was, we shot the movie in Belize.
I'm so glad that you got a chance to meet her and to tell her the influence that she had on you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you wrote about an incident where you were offered a job as a TV host, but first you were told you had to sleep with the executive producer. And another time, a con man pretending to be offering you a movie role tried to rape you. How are young actresses supposed to protect themselves from these predators and criminals?
Yes, I mean, I really had a hard time writing this in my book, but I thought, well, it did happen, and it happened in the last 10 years, So it is something that is happening, and I just thought I need to share this to basically give actresses or actors that are reading it, they can see that you always have to be on your guard, because I went through the proper channels with the audition process through my agents and managers, and I still got conned,
So do you trust your instincts when you deal with people that you don't know?
Well, I trusted my instincts when the con artist, which is I took a friend to work with me. I don't normally do that, but I just had a feeling and my intuition, and I thought, I don't know, I have a weird feeling. And it was good because I was able to take the friend, and then we were able to go to the police and report this guy. But I also, with the TV host thing, they try to normalize that behavior, like, oh, everybody does it. Like, they give me names of celebrities that done it, and I'm like, this is so wrong. And they're like, don't worry, it'll be confidential. The executive is happily married with kids. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, look, I'm not interested in working with you guys. And then
Good for you, Blanca.
I said, well, you're not going to make it in Hollywood. And I said, well, I definitely am not going to make it with you guys, because you guys are not going to go far. You're telling me if I don't feel comfortable, you will supply alcohol in the hotel. That's really messed up. You're lucky I don't call the police right now.
Good for you.
I'm scared, and they didn't. I blocked them basically.
Well, I'm very, very proud of you, because I think a lot of people that are ambitious and are willing to do anything to make it big would probably fall for that. And you had the instincts and the good judgment to realize that this was just a way to exploit you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. There's a lot of, situations in the industry where people just use whatever power they have to basically manipulate young actresses, So But yeah, there's other people that are willing to do it, and then it continues a cycle like that, so.
Well, I'm glad that you can be proud of the fact that you put your own personal integrity ahead of your career ambition.
Yeah, I thought, well, I guess if, after that happened, I thought, well, if this is the way that the industry works, then obviously I'm not going to be able to succeed because I'm not willing to sleep around to get a role. But then I thought, well, I will do it my way. I will let other people, whoever sleeps around, whatever, but I'm going to do it my way. And so that's what I've been doing, is trying to stay as organic and real so I don't mess up my self-esteem by thinking, oh, I got it because of this. I got it because of that. No, I got it because of my hard work.
Exactly. Now, in November 2018, you narrowly escaped the Woolsey fire, which was one of the most destructive fires in the history of Los Angeles. Your home in Malibu was destroyed. All your valuables were stolen during the terrible looting that happened after the fire. How did you find the inner strength to overcome that traumatic experience?
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a journey that I wrote in detail in my book because I lost everything I had accumulated throughout the years. So, but I didn't feel like it was new because growing up, I didn't have much. I just felt like, okay, it's a little bit different from when I was a child because I have grown so much as a person. I have experience. I have many lessons. So I'm not going to start from scratch. I'm going to start with experience. And before, when I was a kid, I didn't have the experience. I was just learning. But now I thought it's a different story. So that gave me the strength to know that I was able to overcome poverty before, and I can overcome losing my home because I'm able to find, get a place. I will start accumulating the things that I lost. But I was really more disappointed that I lost my books because I had a collection of books. That was something that the hardest thing for me, besides some of the pictures that I had. But then I thought, okay, well, I will just order the same books if I. And so, well, I did, and I just ordered something different. But
well, in your book, you gave 8 important tips for overcoming trauma. I want to say to our viewers that I highly recommend Blanca's book for her explanation of those 8 tips and for the technique of reframing and positive self-talk, which Blanca explains in great detail. Blanca, I think you've done a real public service by writing that particular chapter of your book.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always nice to hear, that people are reading the book and getting something out of it.
Well, now in my introduction, I mentioned some of your movie and TV roles that you're best known for, especially Melanie, the strong, mysterious, villainous businesswoman in the dramatic action thriller Betrayed, which won you a Best Supporting Actress award at the International Independent Film Festival. You were actually portraying a real person in the human trafficking business, weren't you?
Yes, it was my first villain role. Before I would book a lot of detective or a nurse or cop, something like a business person. And with this role, it was a new one to me because I was the antagonist. And I really enjoyed preparing for the role. And I wanted to, with my characters, I do a lot of research and preparation every day so when I show up, I'm ready to go. But I want to have a whole understanding of my character from, background and all that. So I definitely, it was nice to get the award. And then also I just won my movie, a Western movie that is coming out in Eye for Eye. I just won Best Actress last week in a festival.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
And of course, you play Lola, a young Latina dancer at a strip club in the multi-award winning TV series Tale of Tales. Blanca, you're known to be a very versatile, hardworking actress who does a lot of research and preparation for each role. How did you prepare to play Lola?
Well, Lola, it was like the character is very complex. She goes through so many emotional changes, and she has hard life, and she's trying to get out of that life that she has, but she has internal, like conflicts because she is supporting her family, and at the same time that's easy, money that she could get, and she's not doesn't have an education. So I just basically worked every day on, preparing for that role. And then also I took some lessons to learn how to dance, even though my character doesn't dance, only like I think a couple seconds. But I just thought I want to understand what they go through. And I bought the high heels, and I'm preparing private lessons here in LA. And I was like, wow, like I got so much respect for people that do that for a living. It was so hard. You're like not only like doing movements that are like hard, but also then you have a 6-inch high heels. And you at the same time you gotta maintain, connection with people. It takes so much talent to do that. I was like, okay. It's an eye opener, and just, you get to see like what they go through. And so yeah. In my role, I just find out that I'm being considered for an Emmy for my role in Tale of Tales.
Yes, I heard that, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you. I think big things are going to happen for you, my dear Blanca.
Oh, thank you. Just doing what we love, doing what I love, and not expecting more out of it, just like enjoying the process.
Now, in addition to your acting career, you're a top fashion model. You've been featured in Vogue, People, Cosmopolitan, Elle, Harper's Bazaar, Forbes, and many other magazines. And you represented the top French fashion designer, Christophe Guillaume. You've worked in Paris, London, Rome, Moscow, Marrakesh, Monaco, Italy. So I have to ask you, Blanca, are you having the life and the career that you envisioned for yourself when you were a little girl?
Yes, for sure, because I never really thought I would be traveling all over the world. And that was, to be able to do everything that I wanted as a little kid. And just knowing that it takes time, but eventually your goals happen if you stay focused, And that's what I'm going to, I share with people. Like next week, I'm going to be talking to elementary school, and I'm doing an assembly at my hometown for the middle school and high school. And then the college, and then university. And that's basically what I share. I'm sharing about staying focused. It's basically all it will lead to something if you just work at it and stay focused.
Well, you said many times in the book that we all have the power to determine our own futures. Do you believe in destiny, that things are happen for a reason and that some things are just meant to be?
I do believe in destiny, and I also believe that we contribute to destiny. So like if you don't do anything, you just stay there. Like you might not have reached the level that you want if you don't take action. But if you work at it and then there will be opportunities opening for you, and you gotta be ready, be there to take the next step. So I think that both work, just understanding that, yeah, there's times where opportunities will happen when you're working at something. But if you just stay home and not work on something, just wait destiny to do things for you, then it's not gonna, it doesn't look very, like it doesn't look great like that, because you have to be work at it, and then eventually things will fall into place.
So what's next for Blanca Blanco? Can you tell us about any of your upcoming projects besides the Emmy that you're going to win? Because I just know you will.
Thank you. Yes, I booked a movie. I'm shooting in Sweden in June, and I'm also doing Cannes Film Festival this year in May. And just I've been doing a lot of I'm doing the college tour next week for my book, for Breaking the Mold. And yeah, I have like a lot of things coming up. I feel very blessed, very fortunate that I'm able to do the things that I wanted to do. And during the lockdown, I didn't want to feel like I skip a year, so I thought I will write my book now.
Well, Ms. Blanca Blanco, it has been such a pleasure to meet you and to discuss your life and career and your fabulous book. I hope you'll come back to our show to promote all your new projects. And I thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you so much, Harvey. I appreciate it.
Our guest has been actress, model, and author Blanca Blanco. My name is Harvey Brownstone. Thank you to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all the great interviews on the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified when new videos are posted.